Welcome to RNG Girls, a podcast on the people, projects and politics of renewable natural gas. I'm Lisa Kitt, founder of RNG Girls and managing director of Dahlia Recruitment. Our podcast aims to bring you the latest insights in the RNG market by sitting down with the key players who are shaping the industry, from operators and developers to investors and policy leaders. Joining me as my co-host is the brilliant Skye Austin. She's the sales director for StarkTech's RNG and compression division and co-vice chair of American Biogas Council. Together, we'll explore what's being built, what's being funded, and what it really takes to deliver projects in the real world. Please stay tuned for our regular episodes, and let's keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in renewable natural gas. Welcome back to the RNG Girls podcast, where we talk with the people shaping the future of biogas and renewable natural gas. I'm Lisa Kitt. I'm the founder of Dahlia Recruitment, where I connect the biogas industry to top talent.
And I'm Skye Austin with StarkTech, where we engineer and fabricate gas upgrading systems from creation to pipeline. I also serve as the co-vice chair of the American Biogas Council. Over the past few episodes, we've taken our listeners on quite a journey. We've explored the fundamentals of biogas with Paul Green. We've looked at lessons learned from the UK and European markets with Ben and Alex from Raft. We've reflected on the incredible momentum of the people behind the Biogas Americas with Bernie Sheff and Brian Sievers. And today we're taking the conversation truly global.
Our guest today has spent the last decade helping elevate biogas from a niche technology to a recognised climate, energy and methane mitigation solution on the world stage.
She's the Chief Executive Officer of the World Biogas Association, an organization celebrating its 10-year anniversary this year. Under her leadership, the WBA has worked with governments, industry leaders, and international organizations around the globe to accelerate biogas adoption and policy development. Charlotte, welcome to the RNG Girls podcast.
Well, thank you, Lisa and Skye. It's lovely to be here. And yeah, I can't quite believe that I've been working in biogas for nearly 2 decades now. And I've had the privilege to help build WBA from the very beginning when we launched at COP22 in Marrakesh in 2016. But it's still exciting. Biogas sits right at the intersection of so many of the world's biggest challenges. As you say, climate change, methane emissions, energy security, food production, waste management, water quality. It touches all of them. But even now, we're still only scratching the surface of what it can do. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the conversation today.
So, Charlotte, for those of us who may not know this story, take us back to 2016. The World Biogas Association launched at COP22 in Marrakesh. If I had told you then where the industry would be today, would you have believed me?
Well, probably not. When we launched WBA in Marrakesh, we knew biogas had enormous potential, but many people still saw us as very niche, tiny. It wasn't yet showing up in conversations about climate action, energy security, or methane reduction. And to be honest, I don't think even we had fully understood the scale of the opportunity until we did the research behind 2 of our most significant reports, which I think were quite game-changing. The first was the Global Potential of Biogas report in 2019, which showed that the industry could reduce global greenhouse gas emissions by a whopping 11%. And particularly this is relevant in today's context. The 105 billion tonnes of organic waste that we humans are producing every year contain around 1/3 of today's fossil gas consumption. That's pretty big. And the second report in 2022, we demonstrated that recycling those organic wastes could contribute around a half of the global methane pledge. So pretty significant. And I think what's remarkable is how much the conversation has changed since then. Today, the IEA is recognizing biomethane as a strategic fuel. And just a few weeks ago at its roundtable on sustainable biofuels, it said biomethane is low-hanging fruit. We're seeing governments developing biogas policies. Methane reduction, as we know, has become rightly a global priority, and investors are paying attention. So, yeah, I think we've moved from saying please take biogas seriously to a much more urgent question: how quickly can we scale it?
What problem were you trying to solve when the WA was founded? Because many of us know that our local market's incredibly well, but somebody needs to connect the dots globally.
Well, I think there were really two fundamental problems: visibility and fragmentation. But the first was the most important initially. Too few people in the most important rooms at an international level understood what biogas was or how much it could deliver. At the time, if you researched World Bank or UN reports, you'd find thousands of references to wind and solar, but only a handful to biogas. And methane, climate change, energy security, these are global challenges, and they certainly don't stop at borders. So the industry needed a global voice to make the case that the world needs biogas, one that would be able to engage with international institutions, that would be able to secure the political commitments, and of course then also connect markets, develop and share best practice, and help governments to learn from each other. And I think that's what we set out to do at the time. And I still think our role is pretty much the same today. We need to standardize, share best practice globally, and really help to turn recognition into action, and really fast.
So one of the things that strikes me is how often people think biogas, like these challenges, are new. And then you get in a room full of operators from Brazil or Indiana or India or the UK or Germany or Canada or anywhere in the United States, and realize that we're all wrestling with many of the same issues. Um, what what have been some of the biggest lessons you've learned from seeing the industry through a global lens?
Well, I mean, I think you're right. That is the biggest lesson, is that whoever you're talking to, wherever they are in the world, we're talking about a circular economy process. And so the challenges are indeed very similar. There's policy and regulatory certainty are absolutely necessary for raising finance. Barriers like permitting hold back projects. We need skilled people. We need public understanding and support for biogas plants, feedstock management, and of course, digestate. So, yeah, common problems all around the world. But also, I think every market does have something valuable to teach others. Different countries come up with different solutions, and no country has all the answers. So I think one of the most important parts of WBA's work is helping to get those lessons travel faster and learnt and shared, looking to standardize wherever possible, of course, sharing best practice, and really helping countries and companies to not having to keep reinventing the wheel.
The WBA recently highlighted that more than 50 new biogas-related policies have emerged globally over the last 5 years, while the sector's been growing rapidly. What role has advocacy played in that progress?
Well, advocacy obviously got a huge role to play. Biogas projects don't happen in a vacuum. They need to have supportive policy. They need clear standards and regulation in order to be able to get investor confidence. So over the last decade, we've worked with governments, international organizations, and industry leaders to make sure biogas is recognized for what it can deliver. We've already talked about methane reduction, energy security, nutrient recycling, and of course, it's a huge economic opportunity. So the fact that we're now seeing dozens of new policies around the world, I think reflects years of work by many organizations and industry leaders. WBA's role has been to make sure the industry's voice is heard at that international level, and to give governments practical frameworks that they can actually use. And that's what the Global Biogas Regulatory Framework and International Anaerobic Digestion Certification Scheme, which are both part of our Making Biogas Happen program, are all about.
And I think that's something that listeners need to hear, right? Projects just don't happen because somebody has a great idea. Projects happen because policy, financing, technology, operators, farmers, waste companies, utilities, and communities all work together to achieve a common goal. The World Biogas Association has spent the last decade proving biogas belongs in the conversation. The next decade feels different. Now the question isn't whether biogas matters, it's whether we can scale it fast enough. So what does success look like in 2036?
Well, success would mean a world where organic wastes are no longer seen as a problem to get rid of, but as resources we can't afford to waste. So by 2036, I'd like anaerobic digestion to be a normal part of waste management everywhere. I'd like biomethane to be helping decarbonise the sectors that are hardest to electrify. And I'd like methane emissions from organic waste to have fallen dramatically. That would be preventing about 0.15 a degree of temperature rise, which is pretty hot where we are today, so that would be good. But I suppose most of all, I'd like biogas to stop being treated as an alternative solution and to be recognised for what it is, essential infrastructure.
The WBA launched the Making Biogas Happen initiative focused on turning ambition into implementation. What does implementation at scale actually look like, Charlotte?
Well, I think it's the opposite of what we have pretty much everywhere today, is a very fragmented approach. It's a globally growing industry that is systematized, standardized as much as possible. It's about building the practical ecosystem that allows countries to move from ambition to delivery. It means regulatory frameworks, certification systems, training programs, data systems, policy tools that allow biogas to scale quickly, safely and professionally. We all know the technology exists. It's been around for decades. So it really is now a question of whether we can create the conditions for it to be deployed at the pace and scale the world needs, which is exceptionally fast, both professionally and safely.
I think one of the things that I've noticed is that across the industry, we often talk about technology, but what actually determines success is people. It's the operators, developers, farmers, policymakers, and investors. What gives you confidence that this industry is ready for the next phase?
Well, I think you've said it. It really, really is the people. I think in my time in this sector, I don't think there can be many industries that attract so many committed, practical, purpose-driven people. So I think what gives me confidence is that we're not really talking anymore about a handful of pioneers, although they definitely really helped to get the industry off the ground. We now have world-class developers, operators, engineers, investors, researchers and policymakers working together. So the sector is becoming much more professional, more sophisticated and more global. And that really does create a very strong foundation for growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlotte, you've also become a really strong advocate for bringing women together in this industry and increasing diversity across the sector. What progress have you actually seen over the last decade?
Well, I think we've made some progress, but there's still a lot of work to do. When I first entered the sector, there were very few women visible in leadership positions. So today we're seeing more women leading companies, more women developing projects, shaping policy and driving innovation. And I think what's also encouraging is that we're seeing a younger generation entering the industry, increasingly seeing diversity not as an add-on, but as normal and necessary. And it goes without saying that if this industry is going to reach its full potential, it's going to have to absolutely outperform. So to do that, it's going to need the broadest possible range of talent, backgrounds and perspectives.
As somebody who serves on the American Biogas Council board and spends a lot of time with the people who are building these projects, I genuinely believe one of our industry's greatest strength is the quality of its people. I talk about it pretty much ad nauseum on every episode that we record. This is a group of individuals who wake up every day trying really hard to solve problems. And there's something pretty special about the unity behind that.
Yeah, there really is. So let's talk about one of the biggest global gatherings in the industry. World Biogas Expo is coming up in Birmingham on the 8th and 9th of July. What can attendees expect this year?
Well, you're right. The World Biogas Expo is really where the global industry comes together. So you're going to have the technology providers, developers, operators, investors, policymakers, researchers, and national associations all under one roof. Obviously, this year is particularly exciting because we're celebrating the World Biogas Association's 10th anniversary. But we're also very much looking forward to the next decade. And the big theme is how we scale deployment globally and turn ambition into implementation, of course, at record speed.
For anybody who's never attended, which would be me, how would you describe the difference between the World Biogas Expo and some of the other conferences that are around the world?
Well, you should come, Skye.
Yeah.
So
I'm working on it. Hopefully next year.
Try and get her here.
Great. So I'd say it's international nature. We've spent many years bringing people from around the world. So many events do an excellent job serving their national markets. But I think what makes Expo different is the breadth of perspectives in the room. So you can have a conversation with someone from the UK, and then India, then Brazil, then North America, all within an hour. And I think it's that exchange of ideas and experience that's incredibly valuable, because the industry grows fastest when we learn from one another.
Yeah, I mean, I've attended for the last few years, and it's a great event. But apart from me, who else should be there? And you, developers, operators, investors, tech providers.
Well, anybody who's serious about the future of biogas should be there. You've made a great list. Add on to that local authorities, waste companies, farmers, utilities. They're all part of the same ecosystem. And I think one of the strengths of the Expo is that it brings together the whole value chain into one conversation.
And because this is the WBA's 10-year anniversary, I imagine this event will be particularly special. What does that milestone mean to you personally?
Well, I suppose it's a mixture of pride, gratitude, and excitement. Pride, I think, in what the industry's achieved so far. Gratitude to so many people who've supported WBA over the years, and it's been hard work, so that support has been really, really appreciated. But mostly I think we need to be being excited, because I genuinely believe that the next 10 years will be even more important than the last 10. And we really need to come together now and build what the industry needs to ensure that it can achieve its full potential. It's existentially necessary for all of us. So the opportunity in front of us today is much, much bigger than it was in 2016.
So on each of these podcasts, we try to do a quick rapid fire round just to get some quick pulses on the industry. So what's one word to describe the biogas industry today?
Momentum.
What's the most underrated feedstock opportunity?
Food waste.
Country to watch over the next 5 years?
India.
Biggest misconception about biogas?
That it's just about energy.
If you could solve one challenge tomorrow, what would it be?
Policy certainty.
I like that one. I spent a lot of time doing policy work, so I like that one.
Sure. Yeah.
Most exciting opportunity that no one's talking about?
A challenge too, but biofertilizers.
What gives you hope?
The people.
And if we recorded this podcast again in 10 years, what headline do you hope we're discussing?
That organic wastes are no longer wasted.
Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on 10 incredible years of leadership and impact.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure being with you both today.
As we close today, I'm struck by something that we've heard repeatedly through this podcast series. Whether we're talking to operators in Iowa, developers in Texas, innovators in the UK, policymakers in Washington, or leaders working around the globe, the mission is remarkably similar. Take waste, capture methane, create value, and build something better. Charlotte, thank you for helping us lead that mission on a global scale. And for listeners, if you're headed to Birmingham for the World Biogas Expo, please make sure to stop by and say hello. The future of biogas isn't being built by one company, one country, or one organization. It's being built by all of us together.
Thank you for listening to the RNG Girls podcast. We'll see you next time.